there are some torts that are against property, and they're even more rare.
Yeah.
But I'm not to get into it, but there's trespass to land, trespass
conversion.
To,
I mean, that's
trespass to chattels, which is one of the best words probably from law school. Is what the heck is a chattel, which is personal property.
Right.
And then conversion again. So those are kind of more rare, but do you remember what those are? A little bit?
So I mean, conversion is basically, I equate it somewhat to embezzlement, but basically it's where I'm a little hazy on it, but and correct me if I'm wrong here. Yeah. I'm going off.
We're just
going off the dome here, but I believe it's when essentially you take title to something or ownership of some tangible good or some form of property, and it's not like you steal it. You just basically have possession of it, and you either sell it. Basically, you isolate it as your own good when it's not right. I mean, usually it involves some form of deceit or trickery.
Yeah, but if I remember correctly, it doesn't have to.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily.
You can have like causes of action like breach of trust,
right?
Things like that, where I convince you to loan me your car,
right? And then you sell it,
and I eventually sell it.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, that's a really good example. And those have damages and stuff. Problem is they're just kind of rare.
Yeah,
trespass to land. I don't think we'd ever really see. If someone walks across my yard, technically they've trespassed them across my land.
Right.
Not to get into all the defenses.
And with conversion, another thing is it gets really tricky. I mean, definitely get an attorney if you're dealing with this, because a lot of times what happens is I've only had one conversion case, but there is. So someone gets an item, let's just say a car, used machinery, four-wheeler, whatever, and then they realize it's not good title. I mean, they were given this item, and then they realize, I don't actually own this. This is not mine. I mean, I can't sell it. It's not it's not registered properly with the DMV, et cetera. But so they could be several links down the line as far as, so it gets really tricky figuring out who initiated the conversion, who did the wrongful act, because Bob sells to Joe with forged title, or just, hey, trust me, we're good to go, here's and then good faith sells to Jane, who sells to you, and then you realize, and you say, Jane, what the heck? And Jane's like, what are you talking about? So it does get very hard, but I mean, it's very rare. I mean, it's probably not. I probably already went into it too much, considering how rare it is.
It is the one that probably would come up more than anything. I think if I remember correctly, trespass to chattels is also temporary.
Yeah.
The conversion is really the big one, and they can couple like criminal theft. If you again thought that you could actually recover something from somebody, for damages and things like that, then you would maybe file civil action for conversion if someone stole from you.
And going back earlier, glad you mentioned that, because when it comes to intentional torts, usually, I mean, we're talking in the civil context here. Usually the legal remedy that people pursue is they press charges.
Yeah.
They want to see someone be held criminally liable for their actions rather than civilly liable.
Exactly.
But anyways, I mean, it's just an option. I mean, classic example is O.J. Simpson was sued civilly, and there was a verdict and a judgment entered against him by the jury.
I was about to say about that, like the difference in the proof.
Yeah,
and he was found not guilty of beyond a reasonable doubt on the criminal charges, but it's preponderance of the evidence in civil. And another thing too is that suit would have stemmed from battery.
Right.
So that is a classic example. I'm glad you brought that up, of a civil charge of battery, or action for battery.
Yeah, coupled with,
now, granted, it was a wrongful death action, but the tort that led to the death was battery.
Yeah.
Probably assault too. But, that's a really good example too, that they can accompany criminal charges. But I think, like what you were saying, in smaller things, theft, the inclusion of criminal restitution in a lot of these types of cases sometimes removes the need.
Exactly. Yeah.
If someone stole your four-wheeler, sold it, well, they may be ordered to pay restitution as part of the criminal charges.
Right, and the judge
that may get you close to being whole. And so, going off and hiring an attorney, probably having to pay out of pocket for an attorney for something like that to recover, value.
That fine, criminal fines get converted into civil judgments all the time. It's almost, that's the more common remedy. But anyways, it's still fun to talk about intentional torts.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to kind of talk about. It's just,
fun word,
these are
torts.
Some things, people don't even a lot of times know what tort means. They hear tort reform. They hear things like tortfeasor, like we may use the word tortfeasor.
Yeah.
And this is word. I think I was remembering the other day. I want to say this word dates back hundreds of years.
Tort.
Yeah. And so it's an old word that we don't really use in normal day. You're not running around saying that, Charlie, you committed a tort against me. But,
speak for yourself. Just kidding.
Well, we use it actually. You're right.
Yeah.
But normal people, normally the general populace is not running around using words like tort and tortfeasor. Right. But that's some of the joys of law school, of using some stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. But that's why we wanted to just chat about it.